Hey folks, welcome to ADSR, and welcome to Getting Started with Maschine Jam. I'm Stephen Ellestad. Jam's a great piece of equipment. Really excited to have had a chance to work with it and get to know it over the past month. And it provides a lot of really new and exciting ways to work with Maschine. I've really enjoyed adding it into my creative production, and I'm pretty sure you will too. And while the Maschine software fundamentally is the same, there's some new things in Maschine 2.5. The Jam controller certainly presents us some new ways to both approach some old functions and work with some entirely new ones that are very exciting and fun to work with. And one of the biggest strengths of Maschine and now Jam is how accessible it makes the entire process of beat and groove creation. And with Jam, we have a number of new tools for expressive performance on stage and in the studio. And with a little bit of practice, anybody can develop all kinds of creative approaches to making music in a really fluid and intuitive manner. But to do that, we need to have just a basic, solid understanding of how Jam works, both in how it operates and how it focuses on other aspects of the Maschine software. So this course is going to cover basic functions and workflows with Jam, and it's focused on demonstrating those aspects of the software and how we can use Jam's controller interface to develop basic ideas. My goal here is to teach the fundamentals of Jam in a way that will let you get the most out of the software in a very short time, and to get you started using Jam in some creative and effective ways, regardless of what kind of music you make. And I've designed this course to lead directly into several follow-ups that are coming out on ADSR, and they all focus on a number of creative and technical workflows with Jam and integrating with different instruments and the Maschine hardware. So this course really looks at how we use the Jam controller to perform basic functions. And we're going to talk a little bit about its different perspective on the Maschine software. So there's some really neat new functions here. We have things like smart strips and perform effects and snapshot morphing, and we're going to look at all those as well as how the whole setup of Jam really kind of positions Jam to be a totally different piece of the Maschine puzzle. So the course is broken up into several sections, and each one will look at a different aspect of working with Jam. So in getting started, we'll look at the Jam controller itself, just do a tour of it, and some basic operation stuff. How we maneuver around, how we select things, how we browse the library, things like that. The next stage is recording beats and grooves, and we're going to look at how to do the main types of beat-based recording in Maschine. We'll look at using click track and a live looping style. We'll look at using note repeat to add parts, and we'll also look at using the step sequencer, how Jam and the new ClickPad matrix really open up the possibilities for step sequencing. In the next section, we'll work with melody and chords, and that's the largest section. We'll look at the keyboard mode and piano roll sequencing, basics of scale and chord functions, and one of my favorites, Maschine's Arpeggiator, which really takes on some new life here with Jam. We'll also really briefly look at the variation engine, and we'll touch base on notes mode to finish that off, where we use the smart strips to play effectively chords from any synth. Then we'll look at arranging in Jam, where I'll be talking about what's coming up in the Maschine platform, so we have an idea of what we can look forward to, so you'll have a good arranging workflow for when these new functions and features become operational. We'll also be touching a little bit on working with patterns and events. It's not really the prime focus of Jam, but we'll touch base on a couple things. Then we'll move into mixing with Jam. We're just going to look at mixing basics. How do we control things like levels and pans? How do we control plugin parameters, etc.? How do smart strips fit into all this? And how do macros come into play? More specifically, how do we control them from a mixing perspective? Finally, we'll look at working with perform effects. I'll talk about pin mode a little bit, and another really cool feature, which is lock mode and snapshots. So thanks for checking out Getting Started with Maschine Jam, and let's get started.